welcome to the video lesson or video notes for lesson 4.5, and this begins on page 19 in your notes packet. And this lesson is about writing an equation of a line given certain information. So we've already learned about writing an equation in the form of y equals mx plus b. Our learning target for this lesson is I can write equations in slope-intercept form. Now it doesn't give us any other details about the target because we're going to be given information in various different ways, either in a table or in a graph or just given points or just given the slope and the intercept and that. And then we have to be able to write an equation based on the information we are given. Okay? Alright, so let's just go right ahead and start in on some examples. Oh, by the way, let's just refresh our memory about what the different parts of the equation are. Didn't want that. So, y is the output, or the y values. M is the slope, or the rate of change. X is the input, or just the x values. And then B is the y-intercept, or also known as the initial value. Okay? So, let's go ahead and take a look at the first few examples. We are going to find the slope and y-intercept and then write an equation of the function in slope-intercept form. So the first example I have is a graph. So to find the y-intercept, I just look where the line crosses the graph, and it's here at the point 0, 4. And the number 4 is what I want. That is my b. That's my y-intercept. Now, to find my slope, I'm going to do change in y over change in x, or rise over run, whichever strategy you prefer. To go from this point to this point, it's actually going to go down 6 spaces. So since it's going down 6 spaces, that's minus 6. So the change in y is minus 6. And then it's going over 3 spaces over to the right, so that's positive 3. So negative 6 over positive 3 simplifies to negative 2 over 1, so it gives us a slope of negative 2. So now that we have our slope and y-intercept, we can write the equation y equals negative 2x plus 4. Pretty simple, right? Okay, the next one. Over to the right, we have a graph. It looks like we've got total cost and miles traveled, so some sort of trip. Now, this graph, the y-intercept starts right there. It's not easy to tell right away. You got to kind of analyze what's happening on the y-axis. It's skipping every other line and going by 20s. So that means every line counts as 10, so 40, 50, and then 60. So in between 40 and 50 is 45. So this point is 0, 45. So that means our y-intercept is 45. We still have to find our slope. Alright, so I could use 0 and 45, but I'm actually going to go ahead and take 2 other points, this one and this one. And those 2 points, change in y over change in x, I've got, so this is the point 160, so the value 60 is the y. Actually, why don't we do this? Why don't we do the rise over run? So it goes up 10, 20, 30, so there's the change in y. And then it goes to the right all the way from 100 to 200 or to 300, so it's going up 200. So 30 over 200 simplifies to 3 over 20. It doesn't simplify anymore, so that is my slope. So my equation, y equals 30/20 x plus 45. Alright, pretty simple so far. Hopefully that wasn't too challenging for you. Now we have a couple of tables. Tables are pretty easy to spot the y-intercept also. You just look at where the input, or x value, is equal to 0, and it's right there. So I'm going to be finding m and b. b is 3. m comes from finding change in y over change in x. So y is going up 2. X is going up 2. So we get 2 over 2, which simplifies to 1 over 1, or just 1 for our slope. Therefore, y equals 1x, or just x, plus 3. And then the last one, we have a table, water used for laundry. Now, when I look at this table, I don't have, this is my x, or my input, this is my y. We don't have a value of 0, so you have to figure it out. The change in y over the change in x is, it's increasing by 1 each time, and on this side it's increasing by 34 each time. So what were to happen if we were to go backwards so that we get our input of 0? I'd have to take 34 from 34 and I get 0. So that's actually pretty nice, because that means our y-intercept is 0. We need to still find our slope, but I think it's pretty obvious what it's going to be. Change in y over change in x. Y is increasing 34 every time, while x is increasing by 1, so our slope is 34. The equation is y equals 34, 34x. Now, don't put plus 0 because you don't have to. Alright, pretty simple. So let's get on to something a little more challenging on page 20. So we've got some different problems. I'm not going to do all of these with you. I'm going to do the first one and then ask you to do the second one on your own. Okay, the first one on page 20. Write the equation of a line that has a slope of -4, so they give us m, and passes through the point 0, 5. Now, because the x value is 0, that y value is my intercept, my y-intercept. So actually these are pretty simple. Y equals -4x plus 5. Not much else to do here. So here's what I want you to do. You're going to do the next one on your own, and somebody's going to share the answer in math class. Next problem. So again, we'll do the first one together, and I'll see if you can do the second one on your own. Write an equation of a line that has a slope of -2, so I know m equals -2, and passes through the point 1, 3. Well, this time, the x is not equal to 0, so I don't know what my y-intercept is, so I need to figure it out. Well, I do know what x is, it's 1, and I know what y is, it's 3. And this is very helpful because this is already all set. I've got my slope, m equals -2. Remember, our equation is going to look like y equals mx plus b. Well, if you look closely, we have an m, it's -2. We actually have an x value, it's 1. We have a y value, it's 3. And then, well, hey, all we have left to find is b. Because we have 3 out of the 4 things that we would need for this equation, we can use all of these to help us find b by substituting them into the y equals mx plus b form. So what's -2 times 1? It's -2 plus b. So now to get b all by itself, I'm going to add 2 to both sides of the equation, and I get 5 is equal to b. Hey, look at that. I have my b. So my equation is going to be y equals -2x, m is -2, plus 5. Now this might be a little tricky for some of you to understand, so you're going to practice it on your own with the next problem. And again, somebody will need to share their answer in math. Alright, on the next page, page 21. This is a little more challenging. Again, we're going to do the first one together. You're going to do the second one on your own. Write the equation of a line that passes through points 1, 4, and 3, 8. Alright, so we don't have our slope, and we don't have our y-intercept. So we got to find both of them this time. Now remember, slope, you can put it in a mini table. So 1, 4, 3, 8, and find the change in y over the change in x. Now I'm going to show you the other strategy that I showed in a previous lesson. So we've got 4 over 2, which is equal to 2. On the Regents, you will be given a formula sheet, a reference sheet that talks about finding slope by doing this. y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Really what this is a really fancy way of doing change in y over change in x. But I want to just show you that basically it works out to be the same thing. So here's our first x and y value, here's our second x and y value. So if we plug them into this formula, we get m equals 8, that's our y2, minus 4, that's our y1, over 3 minus 1. And when you do that, you get 4 over 2, which is the same thing we got up here, or 2 over 1. So we have our slope, it's 2. Now, the y-intercept. Remember, same thing that we did before. This time you have 2 points to choose from. We can do x is equal to 1 and y is equal to 4. Or we can do x is equal to 3 and y is equal to 8. Either one of these is going to work. Remember, it's y equals mx plus b. I know what m is. I know what y is. Let me divide this in half here. So I got 4 equals 2 times 1 plus b. And 2 times 1 is 2. So I got 4 equals 2 plus b. Subtract 2 from both sides. And you get 2 is equal to b. So slope is 2. Y-intercept is 2. Y equals 2x plus 2 is my equation. Now I just want to show you that if we had used the other point that it'll work also. Y equals mx plus b. Plug in 8 for y. Plug in 2 for m. 3 for x. And we're trying to find b. 2 times 3 is 6. So I get 8 equals 6 plus b. Subtract 6 from both sides. And you get 2 is equal to b. Same thing. And it works out beautifully. Alright, try this on your own with the next problem. See what you get. We will talk about this in math. If you had any trouble, go back and rewatch the video, or ask a parent or a friend for help, or come and see me. Good luck, and we'll see you in math.